On Mother's Day, I expected my daughter to make a toast to her mother. Instead, she looked across the table and said something that changed our family forever. She said, "I wish you had never been my dad." The room went completely silent. I looked at her and realized she was not joking. I stood up slowly and said, "Then live as if you never had one." I walked outside, got into the Lexus I had paid for, and drove away. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Her message said, "Bring my car back or I am calling the cops." I stared at the screen and smiled because there was one thing she had forgotten. The car was never hers. My name is Matthew, and for 24 years, I believed being a good father meant giving your children everything you can. My daughter Haley was my only child, and I had spent most of my life trying to give her opportunities. I never had. I paid for her college. I helped with her apartment. I covered her insurance, and when she needed a reliable car, I bought a Lexus and let her use it. I never made a big deal about the money because I thought that was what fathers did. My wife Lauren had always warned me that Haley was becoming entitled. I defended her every time. I told my wife that our daughter was young and would eventually understand how much we had done for her. Then came Mother's Day. We invited Haley over for brunch. My wife had spent hours preparing the food and decorating the table. She was smiling when Haley arrived, but something felt different. Haley barely spoke to her mother. She kept checking her phone and complaining about everything. The food was too cold. The house was too quiet. The table was too old-fashioned. Then my wife raised her glass and thanked us for being together. I expected Haley to say something kind. Instead, she looked directly at me. She said, "Dad, I wish you had never been my dad." My wife froze. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. I asked her what she meant. She rolled her eyes and said she was tired of everyone acting like I had done something special for her. She said the car was hers. She said the money I gave her was something she deserved. She said she did not need me anymore. Then she looked at me and repeated the sentence, "I wish you had never been my dad." Something inside me finally broke. I stood up and calmly said, "Then live as if you never had one." I walked out of the house. I took the Lexus keys from the kitchen counter and drove away. For the first time in years, I felt strangely peaceful. Then my phone started buzzing. Haley had texted me, "Bring my car back or I am calling the cops." I almost laughed. I replied that the car was registered in my name and that she needed to stop calling it hers. She immediately sent another message. "You cannot take my car away." I wrote back one sentence. "You told me you never wanted a father. I'm finally respecting your decision." Within minutes, she called me. She was furious. She said I was embarrassing her and demanded that I bring the Lexus back immediately. Then she threatened to call the police. I told her she could make whatever call she believed was necessary. The next morning, I went through every document. The title was in my name. The insurance was in my name. The payments had come from my account. Haley had been driving the car, but she had never owned it. That was the moment I realized something much bigger than a Lexus had happened. I had spent years confusing love with unlimited access. I had taught my daughter that every sacrifice came without boundaries, and now she believed my kindness was something she was entitled to. I did not want revenge. I wanted her to understand consequences. I canceled the arrangements that allowed her to use the car and told her she would need to handle her own expenses from that point forward. For several days, she refused to speak to me. Then, one evening, I received a message. "Dad, I was angry, and I said something horrible. I did not mean that I wanted you gone." I read the message several times. Then another one arrived. "I'm sorry." I did not answer immediately. The next morning, she came to the house. She stood at the door with tears in her eyes. She said, "I thought you would always forgive me because you are my dad." I told her that was exactly the problem. I would always love her. But loving someone does not mean allowing them to disrespect you. She finally understood that the Lexus was never the real issue. The real issue was whether she valued the person sitting behind the wheel. He eventually forgave her, but I did not give her the car back. I told her that if she wanted one, she could earn it herself. For the first time in her life, she did. And months later, when she bought her own car with her own money, she came to my house and handed me the keys to her new car. She said, "Dad, I finally understand what you were trying to teach me." I smiled and hugged her, because sometimes the hardest lesson a parent can give is not a gift. It is a boundary. That Mother's Day taught me something I will never forget. A parent can give everything to a child and still be treated like nothing. if boundaries are never set. I did not take the Lexus back to punish my daughter. I took it back because she needed to learn that love does not mean unlimited access to someone else's sacrifices. She eventually understood that the car was never the thing she was losing. She was risking losing the father, who had spent 24 years standing beside her. And sometimes one painful boundary can save a relationship that endless forgiveness would have destroyed.